Young and Hunter. And here's Young. Backtracks, 5 to shoot. Young lets it go. And hits! Woo! Ice cold. 119, 117, but there's still 1.8 remaining.
Welcome back to Earl Knows It All. I got a Kool-Aid grin on my face, man, after these last 2 nights of basketball, and for good reason, man. Hold on. Woo. Let me make sure it's warm enough. It's a little cold. The weatherman says a great chance of snow, right? Ice Trae the wrist, baby. Y'all know what time it is, man. Ice Trae the wrist, yes. The boy Trae Young last night does this thing, leads the Atlanta Hawks to a 119-117 victory. Improbable victory is what we'll say, right? You saw that opening. You saw what happened. They're down by 1 point. It gets the ball thrown to him in the backcourt, gives a nice little jab step to Jaylen Brown and drains the deep range three, man. And then gives us a little, weather forecast of what's the things to come. And they forced a game 6 back in Atlanta. The other 2 games, other series, we'll get to them. They were closed out. A lot of teams were going back on the road down 3-1. But out of all people didn't think that, out of all teams, people didn't think that the Atlanta Hawks would be the team to actually stave off elimination, as they say. You start getting these little cliches, pivotal game 5, what do they call the game 6? Someone staves off elimination in game 6, and then you got the do or die game 7 that comes up, right? So the Hawks are in the stave off elimination phase of their series right now. And I said Atlanta in 6 when I gave my predictions, man. We won't get it in 6, but 7 maybe. Who knows, man? I'm not even gonna jump that far. I'm just gonna bask in the joy of that amazing victory they had. Of course, they did this without DeJounte Murray, who's averaging 25 points a game in the series. He was suspended after game 4. He made contact with one of the officials walking off the court, and the NBA decided to suspend him for game 5. So they did this without him. Hawks jumped out to a good lead, to a lead early in the first quarter. Only first quarter that they ended with the lead in this series so far. So you got to wonder if they found something. Was it Boston maybe thinking that the Hawks are going to lay down? Who knows, man? Boston was up with 6 minutes left in the game. I think it was 102-89, or they definitely were up by at least 13 points at one point. The Hawks went on a 12-0 run, capped by a 3-pointer by Trae Young at one point to tie the game up at 111. They traded some free throws and baskets on a couple fouls, and then the final play of next to the last play, because the Boston did get a chance to put a shot up and they airballed that one. But Trae Young with that deep 3, man, it was a beautiful thing, man. You gotta love it, right? So game 6, man, Atlanta, crazy enough, right? This is how much faith I guess everyone had in the Hawks, right? And in this series, they actually had a Janet Jackson concert that was scheduled for Thursday night at at State Farm Arena. So they had to push that to Friday. And I think Taylor Swift is in town as well. So if you're a music enthusiast, or if you enjoy the music of Janet Jackson, and if you're a Swiftie, I guess is what they call themselves, it's going to be jam-packed in Atlanta on Friday. But Thursday night, man, we get a doozy. The Hawks bringing it back. They get DeJounte back. We'll see if they kind of, are able to encapsulate that mojo they got from that win, or does Boston come out and say enough is enough? Let's put this series away. And the biggest beneficiary of this, of course, is Philadelphia. Like I said in my last episode, the Sixers want the Hawks to try to push this thing out as far as they can, man, because Joel Embiid is suffering from a sprained knee right now. So he is possibly going to miss game 1. They're saying he's doubtful for game 1, I think was the last thing I saw. They're saying he may have to play with a knee brace in this series. So there's always something with Philadelphia whenever they go into the playoffs. But this will be interesting, man, to see what happens in game 6. I'm looking forward to that one. And I had to get that out first because, like I said, I'm a Hawks fan by default. So we're going to take a little rewind and go to the next series, right? Or the series or games previously. Of course, on Monday night, you had a heck of a run of basketball games and some great performances as well. Uh, Jimmy MF and buckets, right? Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler put on a playoff performance of a lifetime. He put up 56 points and another game that kind of got away from a team in the end too that was favored. The Bucks were up by I think 12 or 13, and Miami went on a run. And the end of that game, led by Jimmy Butler and his 56 points. He had a 22-point first quarter and just continued to get better as the game went along. Man, he couldn't miss. He was very super efficient, and this is what Jimmy does in the playoffs. Well, not necessarily that, but he has big games in the playoffs. You saw him last year in Game 6 back in Miami against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think he put up 40 or something like that to force the Game 7. So this is the moments that Jimmy lives for, man. And that's the beauty of the playoffs, man. The beauty of the playoffs is you get these kind of performances. Some guys wilt under the pressure, and some guys, they live for it. Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that live for it. The aforementioned Trae Young has done this so far in his young career. He lives for those moments and steps up, when he needs to. So the guys have their flaws and their warts. Everybody does in this league. Nobody's a perfect player, of course, but yeah, that was a heck of a performance by Jimmy Butler. Giannis came back, like I mentioned, as I was recording. They announced that he was going to play in Game 4, and they looked like he had a triple double. He was efficient as well. Brook Lopez put up 35 points. It looked like they were going to easily dispatch Miami and tie that series up, going back home and kind of enough is enough. Let's go ahead and get this over with. But no, Miami's up 3-1 now. They need one more game. Can they pull out one more game? I'm going to give you my honest opinion on it. As much as a homer I am of the Atlanta Hawks, and I said we're going to win in 7, I don't think I still think Milwaukee can win this series, even though they're down 3-1. Now, I'm maybe giving Giannis the benefit of the doubt just because he's maybe one of the best players, if not the best player in the NBA. And, that team has some championship pedigree. But if you look at it, in the bubble, they got beat by Miami. They've had they were up 2-0 on Toronto the year before that, and they lost 4 in a row in the Eastern Conference Finals. So they've had some situations where they have faltered under the pressure in the playoffs. So, and they were a toenail away from maybe never ever having a championship with this group. If Kevin Durant doesn't, step on the line in that Game 7 a couple years ago. So, who knew? We always say football is a game of inches, but basketball apparently is a game of inches too, because that really could have changed the whole landscape of the NBA. But I digress. Like I said, Miami went up 3-1 in that series. And then the nightcap on that Monday night was the Los Angeles Lakers taking a 3-1 lead over the Memphis Grizzlies, right? And Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, the mouths of the South, I guess you could say, or whatever you want to call that team, man. They talk a lot. They're in trouble now, and I think it's all over with. But the crying at this point, LeBron James gets his first ever 2020 game with 20 rebounds, that is, of his career in year 20 in the playoffs, and they needed every single point and every single rebound, and he also threw in 7 assists. I think he finished with 22 points, 20 rebounds, and 7 assists. AR-15, Austin Reeves leads the Lakers in scoring with 23 points. Anthony Davis, I guess they're saying I know Chris Haynes during the game reported that Anthony Davis hurt his hip or something. So, as I said before, man, I'm a Laker fan as well, and it's hard putting my hopes and dreams on the health of Anthony Davis, but that's kind of what you got to do if you believe that they can win. I am adjusting what I think the Lakers would do. Well, truth be told, I didn't pick the Lakers in this series because I thought Anthony Davis may get hurt, but I guess it really doesn't matter. That was probably me giving Memphis a little bit more credit than apparently they deserve. They got a lot of growing up to do. I think they got to get a veteran presence in there, a guy that's been there and done it before. I heard an interesting take that I kind of talk about coming full circle, and maybe at a later date I'll talk about this. Someone said maybe Paul George going to the Grizzlies would be interesting if they could get him some kind of way. But I do think they need a wing upgrade over Dylan Brooks. I said his name this time, I guess, since he's decided to retreat and stop talking to the media or whatever he's doing. I don't know. He's crying about how he's being perceived now, which he is his own worst enemy for talking crazy about LeBron. But yeah, man, the Lakers up 3-1. LeBron hits that huge shot to take it to overtime over Xavier Tillman, and maybe I guess in real time, 2-3 minutes before that play, I text my group text and I'm like, man, it might be time. Bron, like, I know LeBron he's one of the greatest players of all time, but Father Time is undefeated, man. He had those Father Time commercials, and Xavier Tillman was locking LeBron down. Like, he couldn't get past Xavier Tillman, which is crazy. Like, that's a center guarding him. And I know he has straight line speed still. If he gets going, he can get going, but it's very difficult. He's kind of doing it now with, like, I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but he's a smart basketball player. He always has been. He's doing it with like he has to be a little bit more crafty now. Like, he can get you on his hip, and if he got you, he can put his body on you and position himself to make sure you get shots off and stuff like that. That's essentially what he did on that play against Tillman. He got even with Tillman, beat him, and then the human eraser, Jaren Jackson, man, that guy, he's swatting stuff everywhere. He couldn't get to it. LeBron put it up high enough off the glass, so Tillman couldn't get to it, and he sent it to overtime, and in overtime, the Lakers were able to hold on. And a guy that I've given a lot of crap to, I'm not a huge fan of, but you need playoff performances from everybody. That fourth quarter, those 3 threes that D'Angelo Russell hit in that fourth quarter when they were down 97-90, they don't win that game without him either, man. So it was a total team effort, man. Even AD, who struggled and looked horrible all game, got some tip-ins late in that fourth quarter and then overtime that they needed too as well. Split some free throws, which, come on, man. Got to make it free throws. But yeah, that was a amazing, amazing game as well. And we've had some great nights of basketball, man. Couple more teams have bit the dust now and have went home. They joined the Brooklyn Nets. And those are the Los Angeles Clippers, and we'll start with Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, they won game 4 back home after Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but I guess he did. He said he wasn't going to allow them to get swept, and he didn't. They actually played a pretty good game against Denver, man, in game 5 last night. Fought them hard. It came down to the end. Jamal Murray has found his playoff legs again. Go figure. Jamal Murray, I think, has more 40-point or 50-point or 40-point playoff games than like Carmelo Anthony, a whole bunch of different guys, man. You think, you don't necessarily consider Jamal Murray like I don't even know if you would say he's one of the top players in the league. Now, he's a good player. He's decent, but not necessarily upper echelon all NBA type player. But when the lights come on in the playoffs, him and Jokic with that 2-man game, they're tough. And that's gonna be a fun series, man, as they wrap up Minnesota. We'll see what happens with Cat. Cat fouled out again in game 5. Cat, I don't know, man. They made that trade for Rudy Gobert. To me, they are I want somebody to rescue Anthony Edwards, man. Let's not have him there for 7 years and kind of wasting. He looks like he's like ready to go now. And I'll say this. I would definitely take him here in Atlanta. We still got some pieces, a couple draft picks that we can move around. So I know Minnesota's not going to trade him if they trade anybody, but let's just expedite this situation because eventually he's going to leave. Let's let him leave while he's still young and has opportunity to do, some great things in this league before the stench of the Timberwolves just wears on him. Anyway, the other team that has a lot of soul searching to do this offseason, I think, and I mentioned one of their players a few moments ago for the Grizzlies, and I'll even throw this out there. You guys can let me know what you think as well, as a potential pickup for one of my teams, the Atlanta Hawks. The Clippers, their season ended. Russell Westbrook, shout out to him, man. He played extremely hard. That's what Russ does. He was D'ing up KD, man, as best he could. And him and Norm Powell, they were in every game. This game came down late, like each game in the series has. And at the end, it was just too much Devin Booker. Devin Booker passed Charles Barkley having the most 40-point games in Phoenix Suns playoff history. And Book and KD, that 2-man tandem is just, it's tough. you got, some other two-man tandems like, Harden and Embiid. You got Jokic and Murray. You got LeBron and AD. You got who else? PG and Kawhi. They're in theory they're a two-man group, but they never play together. Who else? Steph and I guess Clay or Draymond, whoever you want to group with him. Even with Sacramento, you got Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. So a lot of good two-man groups. Are any of them better than KD and Devin Booker though? I mean, that's the question. And that may be what it comes down to. Over in the East, I forgot Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're a great duo as well. Giannis and his crew, I don't think they're. I mean, Giannis is a good one, but the two, that may be the problem with that team. Jimmy doesn't really have anybody to come along with him. Adebayo is a little bit up and down, or he falls apart in the playoffs, it disappears. So, interesting takes there, man. But yeah, KD and Devin Booker look tough, and it's gonna be a fun series against Denver. I've been trying to figure out, and I'll preview this series. Hopefully I have some time to record prior to the series starting. But Denver and Phoenix, of course, 2 years ago, Phoenix swept Denver out, man. Suns in 4, if we all remember, Suns in 4 guy who beat up the Denver Nuggets fan and got tickets to got courtside seats to the game after that in Phoenix from Devin Booker. They got a little bit of history there. So Jokic has his crew back now. He's got Jamal Murray, who's cooking on all cylinders, and Michael Porter. He's instant offense. He's had a couple playoff games so far where he's been scoreless in the first 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter he comes alive. Michael Porter is a very good offensive player. He's probably one of those guys, irrational guys, but you need these kind of guys sometimes too, who aren't afraid, who thinks no matter what, I'm always the best player on the court. So despite Jokic and his 2 MVPs and, even Devin Booker and KD being on the court and when they play the next series, or Jamal Murray, at times Michael Porter's going to feel like he's the best player when he's out there on the court, even with all those guys out there. So he can be dangerous. He's a knockdown shooter. He can do a lot of things when he's healthy, and he seems to be coming back around as well. So fun series there to watch. And like I said, we're still waiting on tonight. We got 4 games actually. So we'll preview those now. The 4 games that we have tonight, I think NBA TV has Miami traveling to Milwaukee. Let me see here. Actually, the first game is Cleveland. Cleveland goes back home. They're down 3-1. The Knicks will take on Cleveland. All right, Knicks up 3-1. Do they take care of business? My prediction in this is Cleveland gets one more win. Donovan Mitchell had a tough second half Sunday. They had some time off to kind of, get their game together, and we'll see Cleveland, I think, win at home and force it back to New York. But I think New York still wins that series. And Milwaukee, for all intents and purposes, the second game on NBA TV tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, they better win this game. I'll say that. If they don't win, does Coach Bud does he get canned? Or I think even if they do win this series, I think one thing you got to look at with Milwaukee is Chris Middleton hasn't necessarily come back and been the guy that he was before, or, like I told you previously, like he looks like he's kind of put on some weight trying to get himself in shape. He's making $40 million next year if he picks up his player option, which he better do. Drew Holiday, great defensive player. People say he's maybe the most underrated player, but Drew Holiday has a lot of 6 for 20, 6 for 18 games, man, in the playoffs. Even when they played in the championship run, he was doing that a lot in the finals. And now he's a great defensive player, but you getting paid $35 million a year, man. You got to kind of put some buckets in too and like help out, a little bit on the offensive end. Because if those 2 guys show up, they easily beat Miami in that game 4, and then they'll probably easily win the series. But now they're in a dogfight, and you better hope that Jimmy Butler does not have anything left in the gas tank right now, that maybe he's saving it for game 6 in Miami, if possible. Breaking news as I'm recording this team's season is over with, but apparently Shams has indicated that Kawhi Leonard was diagnosed with a torn meniscus. Goodness gracious. And that's what do the Clippers do, man? I don't know. You got Kawhi and Paul George. Since they put that thing together, they never have really had a chance to get. The only time they played together in the playoffs was in the bubble, and they were up 3-1 and got gave up that victory to the Denver Nuggets as the Nuggets went to the conference finals. So, we give them the benefit of the doubt because that was the bubble, but we haven't seen those guys really get a chance in a full playoff run to play together. And it's unfortunate. Both of them got one more year left on their contracts. My other team, the Atlanta Hawks, like I said, we need a wing too. So, hey, we could get Paul George maybe for John Collins, Okongwu / or Capella or whatever, and that Sacramento pick. Just throwing that out there, man. I wouldn't be adverse to that. I know Paul George has a lot of injury history, but he's a two-way player that can help the Hawks. So, I'm willing to throw some at the wall right now, but Hawks going to win, so never mind that. The other games that are going on tonight will be the 7:30 tip for the Lakers and Memphis. So, since they're Central Time Zone, you get an early game with the Lakers. So, I can maybe go to sleep early tonight. Nope, not going to be able to do it because the second game is probably the best series of the playoffs. It's the only one that's 2-2 right now, and that is Sacramento going back home now after losing a heartbreaker on Sunday in San Francisco to the Warriors. De'Aaron Fox, of course, it was announced that he has a tip of his index fingers broken on his shooting hand, his left hand. So he's saying that he's going to play. He said he's 99 to 100% sure that he's going to play. So he's not leaving any room for any doubtfulness there. He was listed as doubtful, but he came out and said he's going to play. So, you got to wrap it up and try to go if you can, see what you can do. Give your team an opportunity to try to win. That's been a fun series. Unfortunate that these injuries are kind of affecting the playoffs a little bit, but for the past couple of years, it seems like it's something that just happens, man. So, we're kind of getting used to it, but you got to account for teams possibly losing some of their best players. But the one thing I will say is, I guess I'll try to get my predictions. I don't think the Lakers will have enough in the tank tonight to beat Memphis. I think Memphis takes care of their business. I think the home teams will win. I got three of the home teams winning. Let me put it that way. So I got Cleveland coming back to make that series 3-2. I think Memphis will make their series 3-2. And I think Milwaukee makes their series 3-2. Sacramento, I got to kind of see how De'Aaron Fox starts off, man. Can they take the lead in that series or not? The Warriors they got a lot of championship guile, but they have been playing late game situations very loosely as well, including Steph getting that timeout and getting a C-Web technical for not having any timeout. So it'll be interesting to see, man. I think thank God for the playoffs, man. It's a fun time. Like I said, it's great basketball being played. I'm looking forward to it. We got those games tonight, like you said, and then one more game on Thursday night. Shout out to the Hawks for allowing us to have some basketball on Thursday and not having that series close out. So we will get one more game in then. And, like I said, I'll get the weekend to kind of watch some of the games. I think maybe the first round will start on Monday. I mean, second round may start on Monday, I think, or Sunday possibly. So we'll see what happens with some of those games, man. Stay tuned. Continue to watch Earl Knows It All. If you like what I'm doing, I appreciate y'all first and foremost for rocking with me. Continue to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, tell a friend. If you're a basketball fan, if you just love sports in general, if you love pop culture talk, if you just like talking and hearing somebody run their mouth, I do all that stuff, man, because I know it all, right? So, like I said, thank y'all for rocking with me, man. Continue to rock with me. And hold it down, man. We'll see you next time.